So a little bit of more backstory on some of the songs that we did. So Lost in Paradise was my suggestion. That was a song I'd been wanting to do for a long time, and whenever I thought about, you know, the animation on the outro from Jujutsu Kaisen, it's like, you know, just fun vibes, and I thought, like, we're just a group of guys, we're just a bunch of silly scrungly bungly bunguses. Why don't we just let's do this song, have fun, and then instead of having like strict choreo, let's just goof around and do whatever we want, right? And I'm so glad that like the majority of clips I'm seeing on social media come from that song, you know? There's so much silly stuff, so many ideas popping off from each different person, so many different things that everybody wanted to do. Lost in Paradise, yeah, that was, and I actually did the lyric split for that song as well, which was fun. I think that's the first lyric split that I've done myself, so that was really interesting to do. I've told this story on stream before, but you now know that the song that I had struggled with for a long time was Jojo Sonochi no Sadame. That song, I think it was a lot of the time when I decide to do a song, it's mostly based on vibes. So I decided, like, yeah, you know what? I reckon I can do this. And so I put in the forms, but at around the time that I decided to do that was at around the time when I was recording, when I was first writing and then recording and editing my 3D debut, which was a lot of work. So I didn't really get it, because obviously for a lot of that time I was staying in different accommodation. I was essentially homeless for a little while because I was living in the mountains for a bit, and then I traveled to Japan to work on my 3D and stayed in other accommodation there. So I didn't really have an environment to practice the song all that much. I did a bit, but not enough. What I found out was, basically, when it came down to finally recording the vocals for it, Mane-san, who was my vocal coach and a much better singer than myself, as I've told you, I'd start singing it that way, and Mane-san is like, I think we should probably aim for like this. And then suddenly when we tried doing it in the lower octave for the original key, and it's something about the lower octave sounded way too like flat for me. I couldn't really give it the energy that I wanted to. I wanted it to be really like strong and powerful, and the lower octave didn't sound good enough, but I couldn't do the main octave. And I think that over the course of learning how to do this song, I've become a lot more sensitive to tone, and I've kind of learned a lot better how to, you know, hear certain song keys and stuff like that. So that was interesting. That was a very interesting experience. Mane-san helped me out and said, okay, listen, I reckon the key you want to go for is -4. Try and do it in a -4 key. That's like equidistant between the two octaves. And I thought, okay. So I hit up my good buddy Unit 0, and I'm like, please, I need help. Please, please, please help me. And he puts together an incredible instrumental. I mean, you heard those guitar solos. You heard all of the instrumentation there is really, really fantastic. Much like when I was practicing for Overture, but I don't think any of the songs in Overture pushed me quite as hard as this one did. Probably because I recorded for this one before I started practicing for Overture. You know, and I've sort of grown a lot since then. But at the time, there are like hours of raw vocals of me screaming and screaming and screaming and trying to hit the notes in that song, and I hated it. I hated recording for it so much, because I was like, why did I do this? Why did I pick this song without practicing it more? Why did I just assume I could do this? I was like, you know? It got to the point where I was so worried and so embarrassed that I was like, I think this is it. I think it's over. I was like, this is a terrible idea. I should never have tried to sing in the first place. Blah, 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 blah. Stupid stuff like that. But then eventually I kept it going, and I kept it going and going and going, and eventually, in the end, I I couldn't even edit. This is why Unit Zero is the best. I couldn't even edit my favorite takes that I did for that song into like the right timing. I just had like a several hour raw recording file, and I sent the whole thing to Unit Zero, and I was like, buddy, I cannot stand to listen to this anymore. This is going to nuke my confidence. Please just take this and just filter through, find your favorite takes, and just make something out of this, please. And he did, and he sent it back to me, and I was so happy when I heard the final version. I was like, yes, it's good. It's actually good. Like, it's not perfect because it's me, and I was still learning at the time, and we're always still learning, but it's good. So much better than it could have been, and I was like, God, thank fuck for that. I was so proud of how it actually turned out, and I have really units. This song is like 30% me, 70% Unit Zero, so please give him some love if you can. But I did learn a lot, and I did grow a lot as a singer in that time, and I'm thankful for that.